All right, I'm here with my kids, Trey, Shelby, and Lizzie. Trey is 15, Shelby is 16, and Lizzie is 13. And I did one of these videos a couple years ago with my youngest child, basically to see what rides are their favorites at Disneyland. So in case you're planning a trip to Disneyland and never been before, and in this case you have some teenagers, you kind of want to know which rides to avoid, which rides that they might like. So we have a ride chart. I make ride charts for our family every year that have every single ride at Disneyland on them. And so we're going to go through and kind of talk about some of their favorite rides. And so we'll get started. Before we start going through all the lands, if you could just call out one or two of rides for teenagers not to miss at Disneyland, what rides would they be?
Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain, don't miss, okay. What else would you not miss at Disneyland?
Space Mountain's good as well, I like that one.
Space Mountain, okay. Another roller coaster.
Well, Splash Mountain isn't really a roller coaster.
Rise of the Resistance.
Rise of the Resistance, okay.
Matterhorn,
Maybe the Matterhorn.
Thunder Mountain, all those.
Thunder Mountain.
Kind of like railroad.
All right, so if you're taking notes, those are some good ones to write down that your teenager will probably really like. We're going to go through land by land and talk about some of the rides now and attractions. And so at Disneyland, it's kind of different than other amusement parks where they call their things attractions, and that can mean they're shows, they're actually rides, or they're also just displays and things like that to look at. So on Main Street, there's a couple of shows and displays that you might not consider rides at other amusement parks, but they're really cool, and we'll talk about each one. The first thing on our list is the Disneyland Railroad. What do you guys think about the Disneyland Railroad?
It's good to get off your feet during the hot of the day.
I like it.
Yeah? Alright. What about you, buddy?
It's alright.
It's okay?
Yeah, you don't really get out of the heat though, because you're still outside. There's better things for that, but
Okay.
it's pretty good to go on once, I guess.
The good thing about the Disneyland Railroad is it's up high, so you can kind of get a bird's eye view of the whole park as you go around it. But that's kind of one of those things where if you have time, do it, I guess. Is that kind of what you think, but not one of your priorities that you would do?
Yeah.
Great moments with Mr. Lincoln.
I thought it was pretty
No.
cool.
So we have a no and a pretty cool and another no. my thoughts would be great moments with Mr. Lincoln is a show that you go in and sit down on Main Street and watch animatronic President Lincoln perform, and it's, to me as a parent, it's pretty cool as well. Very patriotic and things like that. It's probably not the most interesting thing for teenagers unless they're really interested in history or the tradition of Disneyland, since this has been there for a long time. So one of those things that I would guess would be not really geared toward a teenager. Two of my teenagers don't like it. One of them thinks it's pretty cool. Good job, Trey.
I tried.
The other thing is there's the Main Street Cinema. What do you guys think about the Main Street
I
Cinema?
don't think we've been there too much.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
seen
It's alright.
The Main Street Cinema is just a small little nook where they play about 6, I think, cartoon shorts of Disneyland. It's a very historical place. It's been there since opening day, so I'm kind of disappointed that more hasn't been done with it. But again, not really geared toward teenagers, I don't think. Main Street Vehicles.
I like
They're
them.
pretty cool, I guess.
it. I don't really care for them too much, honestly.
Yeah,
It's
any.
okay.
So Main Street Vehicles, basically, they're just things that take you back and forth from the castle to the end of Main Street that you can ride on to save yourself a few steps from walking. But by the time you wait in line, you probably spent more time waiting in line and standing than just from walking anyway. But they're kind of, there's a double-decker bus that Trey and I enjoy going on sometimes. You can get a good bird's eye view of Main Street, so that's kind of fun. The Disney Gallery.
I don't remember that.
I don't know that the kids really remember the Disney Gallery. That's actually one of my favorites. It's a store there on Main Street that kind of displays a lot of artwork. It's really cool artwork and some figurines and stuff that's been made by Disney artists, and it's a fun place, especially if your kids are into art. They might enjoy looking through that, but it's again not really something you'd think of as being an amusement park attraction or ride. Tomorrowland, what are some rides in Tomorrowland that stand out to you guys? We talked about Space Mountain. Lizzie, do you want to talk a little about Space Mountain some more, what it is?
I like it because it's basically a roller coaster in the dark, and it's just, I really love roller coasters and just high and cool things. You don't know what's happening because it's like you can't see anything, and I like it a lot for that reason.
What do you guys think about Space Mountain, Shelby, Trey?
like it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so 3 yeses on Space Mountain. It's one of those things where if you get motion sickness, I can't go on it because, well actually I don't usually get motion sickness, but for some reason I get really sick in Space Mountain. It's in the dark, you're going around mostly in circles, down a little bit and stuff like that, but they theme it to Star Wars sometimes, and also to, what is it called, Ghost Galaxy during Halloween. So I don't think the kids have ever seen Ghost Galaxy, but so we have Space Mountain. What about the Astro Orbiter?
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I don't like it too
You
much.
just go around and around and around.
Astro Orbiter is one you can see at the entrance of Tomorrowland. It's more geared towards little kids, probably. It's your pretty much run-of-the-mill spinner ride where you just get in a rocket and it goes around and around and around. That one actually does make me also a little bit weary as well. Kids don't really care for that one. But any other Tomorrowland rides you can think of that you like a lot?
Star Tours.
Star Tours.
Star Tours is fun.
So tell us about Star Tours.
It's like a simulation. You put on these glasses and you sit in a seat, or there's rows, and
Now, why do you put on glasses?
because there's a screen.
They're
and
3D
Yeah,
glasses.
they're 3D,
3D
glasses.
glasses,
There's a screen
right.
in front of you, and you're in this basically little transport bus, and you're basically C-3PO is basically taking you on a trip through the galaxy, but there's
And get
Yeah.
attacked, and it's really cool. I like it.
Star Tours is arguably the best Star Wars ride in the park, and that's saying something because, as we'll talk about later, some of the newer attractions they made based on Star Wars, but still a lot of the Star Wars fans like Star Tours the best of all the Star Wars attractions. It is a simulator ride, so you can get a little motion sickness on it, but I don't think I have never had that problem at all. Shelby, you've had a little motion sickness at times with it. Shelby is probably my most motion sickness prone child so far, so and she has gotten a little bit motion sick on it, but not too bad. And awesome. Basically the scenes rotate at random pretty much every time you go on it. So there's, I can't remember how many different combinations, but 100 different combinations where you can go on to Hoth or a pod race or a space scene with Boba Fett. There's all these different scenes you can go to, and the simulator moves you around, and then you have the 3D glasses, so you're watching the screen that we talked about. We have, what else do we have there in Tomorrowland? The Disneyland Railroad stops in Tomorrowland, so that's also there. Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, what do you think about that?
Yes.
it's enjoyable if you're good at it.
Yes.
I don't
It's
like
bad.
it because it's kind of just an arcade game. I'm not really an arcade person. It's just you're shooting a bunch of targets, and that's pretty much it. I'm just not really into that. So
Yeah, what do you think, Trey?
I don't really like it.
You don't really like it? And Shelby is okay.
I like it because I'm good at it.
Shelby likes it because she's good at it. It's one of those things that as an adult, as a parent, I'm a little bit, it's like, if I wanted to play an arcade game or a video game, I just stay home, and that's kind of what it is. It's an attraction. It is themed, so it's kind of cool that way, but it is an arcade style game where you're shooting different targets throughout the ride as you're moving along. I would think it's geared towards teenagers, so I would think that most teenagers would enjoy it, but as you can see here, 2 out of the 3 of mine don't really care for it a whole lot, so Buzz Lightyear, maybe it's something you go on, maybe something you skip. We have the monorail. What do you guys think about the monorail?
It's pretty good.
it's
I'd
nice.
say.
It's just okay.
So okay,
Get
kind of.
some good views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the monorail is one of the attractions built in 1959, so it's been there a long time, and it takes you from downtown Disney to Tomorrowland, and you can stay on it if you want to, go back and forth. It gives you a bird's eye view of the park in Tomorrowland, kind of like the Disneyland Railroad does. But it's not air conditioned, so in the summertime a lot of times they have to shut it down if the days get to be about 90 degrees or above. They'll shut it down in the middle of the day. So if you want to go on that, maybe plan on going on it a little bit early. And then the other thing we haven't talked about yet is Autopia. What do you guys think about Autopia?
I like it a lot.
I think it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Trey?
It's pretty good. If you have like somebody who's not old enough to drive, and because you just basically drive, you get a little kind of like, it's bigger than a go-kart. It doesn't go as fast as a go-kart, but and you're on this little track, so you can't go off of it. But it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun. I think especially people that are just getting ready to drive probably would really enjoy it. Although even my really young, when these guys were really young, they really enjoyed it as well. Now that Shelby's 16, she still likes it. It's one of those. It's a car attraction where you press the gas and you go and you steer. But like Trey said, there's a little, what would you call it, like a little guide in the middle that you can't cross over. So make sure you're not going off in the middle of Disneyland with one of their cars. But other than that, that's kind of Autopia. Any other things on Tomorrowland that we've missed?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, Submarine Voyage. Yes, thank you, Shelby. What do you guys think about that?
It's enjoyable. I like it, but that just might be just my point of view.
I don't like it. It's kind of boring, honestly. You just go underwater and see a bunch of stuff. Honestly, I'd rather be doing other things, but yeah, it's just not my ride.
Trey?
I think it's unique. You won't really see it anywhere else, so it's cool to go on once. The line moves kind of slow, so you want to get on it. The line's short, and that's like the only time I really want to go on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I've already been on it.
Yeah, those are a couple of really good points. It's not really a thrill ride, so your teenager may not like it. However, if they are fans at all of Nemo, they probably will like it. And like Trey said, you're not going to see that kind of ride anywhere else you go to. So it's a submarine ride. You get into a submarine, and it gives you the feel that you're going underwater, even though you're really not. You're on a track going around the lagoon. It gives you a feeling of you're going underwater. You're looking through actual portholes at the little animatronics, but also there's a lot of projection mapping that they do animatronically or animating things like that. So the only other thing we should talk about is probably your shirt, the People Mover.
No, that's not in Disneyland.
I know. I'm not. Yeah, there we go. We're celebrating the People Mover here with Trey's shirt. That's a ride they took out back in the 90s. So anyway,
That's a pretty good one.
it's a good one,
I
right?
like it.
They still have it in Disney World in Florida, but I'm not talking about that today. Fantasyland. What rides in Fantasyland stick out to you guys?
Matterhorn.
Matterhorn?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the Matterhorn?
It
Awesome.
is a ride where you get into a bobsled and you go around this big mountain that's designed after the Matterhorn mountain. I think it's like 1/300.
1/100th.
100.
Yeah.
It's a big mountain in Fantasyland. It's kind of hard to miss. It is kind of like jerky.
Yeah.
So if you got like back problems, then you might not want to go on it in
Right.
fear of losing your back completely.
Yeah? You like it, Shelby?
Mhm.
So the Matterhorn is probably one of those rides that your teenager will like. It is a little bit jerky, like Trey said. Historically, it's been there for a long time. It was the first roller coaster in Disneyland in 1959 was when it was made, based on the film Third Man of the Mountain. And it's, again, like Trey said, 1/100th of the scale of the Matterhorn Mountain in the Alps. So fun ride, a lot of history to it. What else in Fantasyland sticks out to you guys?
I like Alice in Wonderland, but
Alice in
I'm
Wonderland?
not sure if other teenagers would like that.
Lizzie's kind of shaking her head a little bit.
It's okay. It's not one of my favorite rides. I'd rather go on Matterhorn or something like that. But I'll go on it.
Something a little cooler,
Yeah.
no, more thrilling. Trey, what do you think about it?
I like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride better.
And so these are rides. Let's take a second and pause. There's Alice in Wonderland, there's Mr. Toad, there's Peter Pan, there's Pinocchio's Daring Journey, and there's Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Those are 5 rides that we call the dark rides, the Fantasyland dark rides, which are about 2 to 3 minute long rides that tell a story of the ride. So they're not thrill coasters. They're just little rides where you get in a little. In Peter Pan's case, you get in a flying pirate ship. In Alice in Wonderland's case, you get into a caterpillar, and it just takes you around and tells you the story. So teenagers probably would not find them as exciting as the Matterhorn or
Unless
Space
they,
Mountain.
Grew up with it and really enjoy it.
Unless, exactly right, unless they grew up with a certain movie. So, however, Trey didn't necessarily grow up with Mr. Toad and Adventures of Mr. Toad, because that's kind of an obscure, older movie, but he still likes that ride. And that was actually my favorite ride when I was a kid.
Mr. Toad kind of reminds me of me and my cousin's humor. We just do random stuff and think it's funny.
So there is a reason why your kids may enjoy these Fantasyland dark rides. I will caution that some of them, like Peter Pan, you'll end up waiting 45 minutes and it's only a 2 to 3 minute ride, so you may leave thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I waited in line that long for that ride. But they're cute because they're imaginative, most of them, like Peter Pan, has been there since opening day. Snow White's been there since opening day.
Well, Snow White they redid, I think.
Yeah, Snow White they've redone, exactly. They just reopened it a couple years ago, brand new. Most of it's the same, but there was a new ending to it. Alice in Wonderland was there in the late 50s. So a lot of these rides have been there. Pinocchio is the only one that was built in '83, so that's the latest one of all of them. But they have a lot of history to them, and unfortunately sometimes you can feel that, but they've done a good job of remaking them, adding some animation to them, in addition to some of the old props they have. Great rides, I love them all. Teenagers are, you know, they're not really made for teenagers, I would say, but unless they really love the story. That'd be kind of fair to say anything. What other rides there in Fantasyland should we talk about?
Storybook Land Canal Boats.
Yeah.
Storybook Land Canal Boats. What do you guys think
That's
about that?
one that I actually like. It's cool to see all of the stuff, like all of the like little cottages and little stuff, and it's nice. It's relaxing. It's cool. I like it. Okay.
If you like details and creativity, then you'll like. Yeah, you like it.
What do you think, Trey?
It's nice and relaxing. I feel like it's more for like the smaller kids. I don't mind it.
Okay.
Yes.
That's probably a fair point. Storybook Land Canal Boats, you get into a boat and you sail through Monstro, his mouth, he's going to eat you, it looks like. This ride was built in 1955, however, it was originally supposed to be the Storybook Canal boats of the world, and you're going to have different countries represented, but that quickly got scrapped, and a year later after it opened, they started doing miniatures, and so they did miniatures of the different villages, like Mr. Toad's village is there, Alice in Wonderland's village is there. They've added over the time Arendelle with the Frozen village, they've added Agrabah, they've added Prince Eric's ship from The Little Mermaid, and the detail, like Lizzie and Shelby were talking about, is amazing. It's really cool. It was actually one of Walt's favorite attractions because he loved the intricate detail. They have Cinderella's castle there. All the different animated features are, not all of them, but many of the animated features are represented. And it's just really cool to detail, but it isn't a thrill ride, so some teenagers may wish they were somewhere else, but if your teenagers are really interested in detail, it's an amazing attraction, one of my favorites as well. Now, we'll also mention Casey Jr. Circus Train goes around the same area as Storybook Land, so basically you're seeing the same things, so you can view the same things basically up high on a train on Casey Jr. or down low going through the rivers on the Storybook Land Canal Boats. If you only could choose one, I would say Storybook Land Canal Boats. I don't know about you guys,
Yeah.
but I do love Casey Jr. as well. It's a fun little train that goes around. Do both of them if you want to, but teenagers may not let you. So those two rides are very good with the detail that you'll see. We have It's a Small World. What do you guys think about It's a Small World?
It's good if you are hot and want to get off your feet because it's air conditioned and it's like 10 minutes long, and then like the water is cold, so you just like dip your hand in.
No, you do not dip your hand in because you'll get reprimanded for taking your hands outside of the boat.
And you splash your siblings and then they get mad at you, and you're like, what are you gonna do, break the rules?
So, Small World is another boat ride, kind of like Storybook Land Canal Boats. However, this one's inside, and air conditioning is really nice, I think, too. You can go through the air conditioning, cool off a little bit. It was built originally for the World's Fair in 1964, and then it was brought back over to Disneyland after the World's Fair concluded. One that Mary Blair and Claude Coates designed, a little history, but Walt Disney was very pleased with it, and it was just a call for peace for the children of all of the world nations and things like that. Really cool detail in it, I think. What do you guys like the Small World? Do you think it would be something that teenagers would be okay with, or not really?
Kind of okay with it. It's like you said, it's kind of like Storybook with air conditioning. It's just there, and I'll go to it. I mean, I prefer other rides, but I'll go to it, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably not something that teenagers would love to do, but because it's not real thrilling. But again, it's one of those historical rides. You can't go to Disneyland, I don't think, without seeing Small World because of the song. It's something Disneyland is known for. So I think I would drag your teenagers through it, you know, like I have with mine over and over and over and over again. So they still love me, right? Oh, never mind. Okay, we'll move on to the next ride. We'll go to, what do you guys think? There's Dumbo. Dumbo's another spinner that just goes around and around and around.
It's like Astral Orbiter, except it goes slower, I
The
think.
line is
And
Line is long for it usually, yeah.
like it's lower to the ground and it goes slower.
Yeah, so it's not really geared toward teenagers, more of a kid ride. King Arthur Carousel,
Carousel. It's
It's
just a
just
carousel.
just a carousel. A lot of history there. Opening day attraction, 1955. But what else do we have here? Sleeping Beauty's Castle to walk through.
It's
Yeah.
just walking.
I
for
find
me.
it enjoyable. But
I would rather walk to another attraction.
Would ya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 of the 3 teenagers here say skip the walkthrough, but it's you go through the castle, you go up some stairs, and it has little displays of the story of Sleeping Beauty. Kind of creative, but maybe not something teenagers would necessarily like unless they love that story a lot.
there's the show.
Yeah,
Show.
right.
Like,
The Tale of the Lion King. That's a show in the Fantasyland Theater, which is over back by Small World. Right now they're playing Tale of the Lion King, which used to be in California Adventure. Now they've moved over to Disneyland. Do you guys like that show?
I loved it. Honestly, it was probably the best like show I've ever seen. It's really awesome. I love it. I would see it again. Like, yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
If you're a theater kid, you'll like it.
It was alright.
If you like music, dancing, whatever, I really like enjoy it. I feel like other people would too.
So the girls liked it a lot, especially Lizzie. Trey said it was all right. I think that's pretty much representative of what you'll see. A lot of your more theatrically inclined teenagers might like it, or people that like and enjoy going to shows might really enjoy it. It's about a 25-minute long show, and it's in a shaded theater. It's outside, so you're not in air conditioned, but it was a pretty good show. It was pretty good. Last thing I'm going to talk about is Teacups. What do you think about Teacups?
It's fun until you
Somebody
get off.
throws up.
It's fun until you get off.
Yes.
So someone throws up. That's one of those rides you can get motion sick. It's a round and round spinner. There's a mechanism in the middle of the teacup that you can spin to go faster if you want to. When I go on it, I don't spin that at all, and you can pretty much survive doing that. But teenagers a lot of times like to spin it and go fast as they can. And if you get motion,
think it's a good idea at the time, but after you're done, you know it's not. But you never learn.
what do you think, Lizzie?
I think it's good for little kids and it's fun. It's fun just like if you want to go on a random ride and you don't want to wait. It's like no line most of the time. Just go on it, then get sick. I don't really get sick, honestly. I think it's fun. Yeah, it's not one of the better ones, but I'll still go on it just to go on a ride.
All right. Anything else in Fantasyland that we missed that you want to talk about? Or any other things we need to add? No? We'll move on to Frontierland. What do you think about anything of Frontierland? What rides are there that you like?
Thunder Mountain is the first one that comes to
Yeah.
my mind, just because I've liked it for so long.
Thunder Mountain, explain Thunder Mountain. What kind of ride is that?
So it's basically kind of a roller coaster. You get in a train that is controlled by ghosts that have turned a mining train into like a roller coaster thing. And you just go around this mountain that's themed after the Bryce Canyon.
Bryce Canyon National Park here in Utah.
Yeah. It's pretty fun if you're in the back. If you're in the front, then it's not as fun because like sometimes you'll be going up a hill and the front will go down first, but you're still waiting for the people in the back to finish going up before you can start going fast. So you're just going down the hill slowly for like 3 or 4 seconds, then you start going fast. So
And you guys both agree with Thunder Mountain being one of the better rides?
I like it okay. It's not one of my favorite roller coasters in Disneyland, but I still like it okay.
I think most teenagers would love Thunder Mountain, even if they're not thrill seekers. It's not. I actually love Thunder Mountain. I'm not a crazy roller coaster person. It's got really good theming to it. It's got a little bit of a thrill aspect to it. However, it's not over the top, so it's kind of enjoyable. I think pretty much for everybody almost. Your littler kids may not like it, but that's a different episode that we'll talk about. So teenagers, I think with Thunder Mountain would be a good one to go on. What else is over there that you guys want to talk about? Thunder Mountain, in Frontierland.
Fantasmic was pretty cool.
Fantastic, yeah.
It was good.
So Fantasmic is a waterside show that they do every night, and it's been around since the 90s. And great show. It has some projections on the water, has fire elements to it. has actual character actors, has big props like a huge dragon in it, snakes. Really cool, really fun. A fun sequence of entertainment. Again, another 20 to 25 minute show at nighttime. You'll have to get a good spot about an hour ahead of time. We found a good spot to be above the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction on the bridge there. We ended up getting there about an hour beforehand, waited for them to take the ropes down for the Pirates attraction, the queue, and once they took those ropes down, we ran up to the front and got a good spot on that bridge, and it's a nice elevated spot in the front row is perfect for that attraction. But so Fantasmic teenagers would really like that, I think, for the most part. We have the shooting exposition, which none of us has actually ever done. We've never done the Frontierland shooting exposition. It costs 50 cents extra, and you're just shooting at targets.
Just go on Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters if you want something like that.
Okay.
It's basically the same thing, except you're not moving.
All right.
And it's not really themed after anything Disney.
Now there's two boats there. There's the Mark Twain Riverboat and the sailing ship Columbia. What do you guys think about those?
They're okay. I'd rather do other stuff.
Yeah, me too.
They're okay, like you heard, rather do other stuff. They're boats that sail around the rivers of America, which is the big body of water. They, again, both have a lot of historical value to them. The Mark Twain was there inoperable before opening day when Walt Disney and Lillian Disney celebrated their anniversary there on the Mark Twain and at the Golden Horseshoe, which we'll talk about in a second. And the sailing ship Columbia was just added a couple years later. They're fun, good way to see parts of Disneyland that you wouldn't see any other way, but probably not too exciting, I don't know, for most teenagers, but not horrible either. We'll talk about the Golden Horseshoe since I just mentioned it. It's a restaurant that used to feature a stage show. Now they've kind of cut the stage show and they do like piano performers every now and then. But we like to go there to get like ice cream. On a hot day, we have our special. It's a 2-story building. There's a balcony that we have our special place. We like to sit at the balcony and we watch the stage show every now and then when we caught it right. I don't know. What do you guys think about the Golden Horseshoe? You like?
I like it a lot.
I like it too.
It's got the best ice cream they'll ever have.
Best ice cream you'll ever have on a hot day. You heard it from 15-year-old right here. So if you want to make friends with your kids, take them to the Golden Horseshoe, get some ice cream there. Let's see. We've got Tom Sawyer Island. What do you think about Tom Sawyer Island?
More towards kids. It's alright. I would rather just walk to another ride.
Yeah, me too.
I'll be
It
honest.
takes a lot of energy for me because it's a lot of walking around and exploring a bunch of like caves or like pirate gold or whatever is there. It's like all themed pirates. It's good to take like little kids and like let them walk you through it, I guess.
Okay. There's a lot of rope bridges, pontoon bridges, caves to explore. Like these kids said, it's geared more towards younger kids, not necessarily teenagers. But you do take rafts to get over to the island. Then you can explore there as long as you want. When you're ready to come back, you take another raft back over. So it's something that maybe, if you have time for, do. If the lines are really long other places, you'll never have trouble getting over the island. It's usually a pretty quick trip, and so it could be something to do on a busy day. We missed anything there? I think we got everything there on, what's that, Frontierland? We'll go to Adventureland. What do you guys like about Adventureland?
Jungle Cruise.
All of it. I love all of it.
Adventureland is awesome, I think particularly for teenagers, but so Trey mentioned the Jungle Cruise. What do you guys like about the Jungle? Do you guys all like the Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so Jungle Cruise may be a good hit for teenagers. What do you like about it, buddy?
Well, I like the humor of it, because, I respect people with good humor, and I don't like people with bad humor.
Oh, he's looking at me. You see that? Yeah, the Jungle Cruise is an opening day attraction. When it first opened, there was no humor in it, actually. In fact, Walt Disney wanted real live animals in the attraction until he was talked out of it by some of his Imagineers because they were worried that, some people may not get the full experience if, certain animals were back in the bushes, they couldn't see them. So they ended up doing the animatronic animals. And in the early 60s, under the supervision of Mark Davis, they started making it a little bit more comical. And that ride is really as good as your skipper is. I mean, we've had some really, really good skippers that are just, so funny that you can't stop laughing even after you've gotten off of it. We've had some skippers that aren't quite as good, even on the bad skippers, I still think the ride is a good ride. But if you get a good skipper that's funny, that cares about his job or her job, the ride will be even better. So Jungle Cruise, I think, is a definite do with your teenagers. It's a good one. You're in a boat going around the jungle looking at animatronic animals, however, with a little bit of some puns to it. What else over there in
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is definitely one of my favorites as well. The line is very long, so I get there in the morning, but I love that ride. It's very bumpy as well, but I think it's really cool. There's stuff coming at you. There's a bunch of like detail. There's snakes. I really like that stuff.
Yeah, how about you guys, Shelby and Trey? You guys like Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
The queue is very interesting. It's very, very long because it almost always has a long line, which moves decently fast, I would say. It's like Matterhorn, but worse because it's really bumpy and all that kind of stuff. So
You're in like a safari little car and you're just exploring the temple.
it's like you're taking a tour, but things go bad, I think, and then Indiana Jones has to save you. So like, don't make sure you remove like your hats and glasses, and don't try and film it like I did.
I think the kids would say that it's a definite, you have to do it if you have teenagers. Just beware that you are going to get jerked around quite a bit. You're in a Jeep that's, on a track, but it's a rough ride. It's like you're four-wheeling a little bit. But it's a fun ride, built in the mid-90s. It's a great ride. It's been there for a while. Teenagers, I think, would love it. I think the other thing you have there is you have the Tiki Room. What about the Tiki Room?
It's alright when you go on it once with the whip.
Yeah.
And then the music is alright all the rest of the times, but the show is just kind of... the show itself is kind of boring after the first time, but the music still lasts.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
The music's great music. Teenagers may or may not like it, especially if it's something that it's new to them. They might kind of think, what are we doing here? But because we've grown up with it and the tradition is there again, it was built when Walt Disney was alive. It was originally supposed to be a dinner show, but they were worried that people wouldn't leave, so they ended up making it just a regular show without dinner. However, as Trey mentioned, we like to buy Dole Whips, and it's like a pineapple flavored ice cream type of thing, and you eat it while you can eat while you're in the show. It's inside, it's cool. The show is really catchy. I think the music, teenagers though, would you say maybe not? It just kind of depends on the teenager if they like that sort of show thing or not. But anyway, that's the Tiki Room. The last thing there is Tarzan's Treehouse, and it's closed right now as we're filming this because they're retheming it to something else. We're not sure what. They haven't announced what it's going to be. But what do you guys think about the Treehouse when it was open?
It's alright. You enjoy it more when you're...
It's like Tom Sawyer Island. I'd rather walk other places.
Yeah.
It does take some energy to walk up the stairs to get to the top of the treehouse because you are going up pretty high, across some rope bridges and things, and seeing a lot of detail. It's creative, but teenagers probably could skip that one unless it's a busy day and you need something to do. There's no line, it's just a walk on. You can just walk through it. But we'll move to New Orleans Square. The Disneyland Railroad makes a stop in New Orleans Square, but we've talked about the Disneyland Railroad. And then you have two other main attractions there in New Orleans Square. Which one do you guys want to talk about first?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, what do you think? Is it a must-see for teenagers, or is it skip for sure?
I enjoy it immensely just because I really enjoy the first three Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I mean, it helps if you watch them before you go on the ride, but you don't really need to because the movie was based off of the ride. It's just a pretty cool ride in my opinion.
What do you girls think?
I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I think you've got to go on Pirates of the Caribbean. That's one that your teenagers will like. There's two drops, not real major drops, just minor drops, and the reasoning behind those drops was originally because the main show building is actually outside of the railroad tracks at Disneyland, so you had to go down underneath them, and that's why the Imagineers created those drops. But Pirates of the Caribbean is the last major attraction that Walt Disney worked on. It actually opened just after he passed away, and he passed away in '66. The attraction opened in early '67, so it's been around for a long time. They've unfortunately made a lot of changes to it, which in my opinion have not made it quite as good as it used to be. However, look, they made movies based on it because it's such a good ride. Usually you make rides based off of movies, and in Pirates of the Caribbean case, the ride was so good they made the movies based off the attraction. So that's one I think definitely take your teenagers to. Haunted Mansion is the other one in the area. What do you guys think about Haunted Mansion?
I really like it too. It's very fun. It's a little scary, but I feel like it's not that scary to not go on it. I love it. It's basically your toy mansion, and there's a few jump scares, but they're not too bad. I just really like to see all the stuff, and yeah, it's really cool.
What do you think, Shelby?
I like it. You're just going through a haunted house and your doom buggy, which is like this little, I don't really know how to describe it, like a seat, and it seats like 2 people, and yeah, you just go through a haunted house, and
It's
Yeah,
not one of
The
those.
music is great.
thank you.
It's not one of those like really bad haunted houses with like the killer clowns and all that stuff. It's kind of like a funny haunted house.
Happy haunts.
Yeah, it's not as that scary, but it's yeah.
Exactly right. I think Haunted Mansion is again one of those attractions that I think most teenagers would actually really like. It's got kind of a cult following amongst Disney fans where it's so popular because again it's been around since 1969. And it's not it's a haunted mansion, so it does have a little bit of an edge to it, but it's not one of those gruesome gut, blood everywhere mansions. It's
Freddy Krueger.
he's not a Freddy Krueger thing. It's more of a Disney haunted mansion. So it's funny, it's happy, but it's also a little bit edgy to it. So I think it's one of those. It's one you got to see. We'll move on to Critter Country. There's not really any good rides in Critter Country, are there, guys? No. Okay, let's
Never mind. Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain,
That
right?
was the best one.
That's everyone's favorite ride in our family. Splash Mountain is everyone's favorite ride. We are extremely bummed that they're changing it to Tiana. Not because of necessarily of Tiana, Princess and the Frog, but because they're taking out one of the best rides, one of our favorite rides. We love Splash Mountain. So anyway, what do you guys like about Splash Mountain?
It's it's got the good thrill with the final drop. You get to make funny faces on the picture at the final drop. If you like getting wet to cool yourself down, that's a good place to get it done. If you don't like getting wet, then you just sit in the back and you hardly get wet at all most of the time. Sometimes you still will, but then it's got a pretty good story too, and it's just kind of got a little bit of everything, I guess.
The music, I think, is one of the things that sets it apart too. The music is so good. You can't find that kind of music anywhere else on any attraction. That's one of the things that when they take Splash Mountain out, the music's gone, and how are you going to make that area as happy? It's not going to be nearly the same. But we digress. We'll stay on topic and talk about Splash Mountain. It's one of those rides I think you must take on for teenagers. They have to see it. I'm sure once it's even rethemed, it'll still be one attraction that teenagers will like regardless, just because of the thrill element. It's got the longest drop of any Disneyland ride in Disneyland, I think. And that's at the very end. However, you get wet on the drop inside. It's called, my kids have affectionately called it the bee drop, where you kind of go down and up and back down. It's a lot. There's a lot of bees around it, and if you're sitting in front, beware, you are going to have a bath with your clothes on. You're going to get soaked. Even in seats 2 and 3, you get a little bit wet. But number 1, I recorded it with my phone, and I looked like I just went swimming with my clothes on when I got off of that thing. So the back doesn't get nearly as wet as Trey said. Fun ride. There's about 4 different drops, I think, inside of it. However, the biggest drop by far that you see is at the very end of the ride. You can actually watch people come down it as you're walking by to get to the end of the line. But fun attraction. It's definitely a can't miss. What about Davy Crockett Explorer Canoes?
I enjoy it, but sorry. Go on.
You better be sorry. It's fun. It's got some work aspect to it because you're in a canoe. You go around the rivers of America, and if you don't paddle, then you better hope everyone else is, because if you don't and nobody else does, you're not going anywhere. Some of the canoe guides, I guess, can bring some humor into it. I think a lot of them do. Just beware of little children in front of you or behind you that are off sync of the paddling and splashing you every other paddle.
If you don't like physical work, like you're going like this.
But what
you're
teenager doesn't like physical work?
I like it, but other people might not.
All right. So what do you think, Lizzie? Do you like the canoes?
Yeah, I like it. Okay, it takes a little bit more energy, but I like it. It's a little funny, like Trey said. Sometimes, like our last person who did it was really good, and I think it's just whichever person you get, whatever people you get on the ride with you, it kind of makes the experience.
Yeah, I think the canoes are probably one. There's usually not too long of a line for the canoes, so on a busy day, it's a good ride to do in the middle of the day. They close early. I think about 5 o'clock is when they close. So if you want to do the canoes, you're gonna have to do them a little bit earlier than you might have to do other attractions. You're in a real canoe and you are paddling yourself around the rivers of America. There's no track, and like these kids already said, there's only 2 guys, one in the front, one in the back, and the canoe holds about 20 to 30 people or so. So you just paddle around, and it's actually pretty fun. Last ride in Critter Country is Winnie the Pooh. What do you guys think about Winnie the Pooh?
Good for little kids, not for me.
It's good if you are supervising children while everyone else is going on Splash Mountain because the 2 are right next to each other. You
Yeah.
just take them on Winnie the Pooh like twice because it almost never has a line.
That's kind of been our strategy. Is our youngest sometimes doesn't care for Splash Mountain because of the final drop, and so whoever is watching her will go on Winnie the Pooh with her a couple times, and like Trey said, there's not really a line there. The ride itself probably isn't geared towards teenagers. If they're big Winnie the Pooh fans, maybe they would actually love it because it's actually great storytelling. It's a dark ride, kind of like the rides in Fantasyland we talked about. You're just in a little honeycomb, I think, and you just kind of go around the track, and then while you hear the story, a little bit of history. That's where the Country Bear Jamboree used to be. So after the Heffalumps and Woozles part of it, if you turn around and look backwards, you can see the heads of Max, Melvin, and Buff, who are characters from the Country Bear Jamboree that used to be in that building that they've left there as a tribute to them. But as far as teenagers, it's probably not targeted towards them as much. We'll go to Mickey's Toontown. We have 2 lands left. Mickey's Toontown was closed when we were there last time. There's only kind of 2 major attractions, I would say, there right now. One of them being Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. What do you guys think about Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin?
No, it'll scar your children. Don't go on it. I don't
So,
like it at all.
Roger Rabbit is a ride that none of my teenagers like at all. I would think that teenagers may like it, but I don't like it at all.
We
Yeah,
went
I
on
don't
it too
anymore.
early and it just kind of ruined it.
Yeah. I've never been a huge fan of Roger Rabbit myself personally, so I went on the ride for the first time earlier this year and did not like it at all. My kids don't really care for it, but I think a lot of teenagers would probably like it. One of those, maybe if they like Roger Rabbit, take them on it. You've also got Gadget's Go Coaster. What do you guys think about Gadget's Go Coaster?
It's very short.
It's a very,
Very
small
short
roller
Short
coaster.
and small roller coaster. It's just okay.
It's a roller coaster that's actually geared more towards little kids, if you can believe it or not. Roller coaster little kids, but it's very short. It's over, pretty much right after you get on it. It's okay. I think teenagers would be okay with it, but it's
There's the new one that they're putting in, the new ride.
right. Right now, Mickey's Toontown is closed because they're building a new ride called Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is actually open in Hollywood Studios in Florida, and we went on it earlier this year. Loved it there. It's a great ride. It's got all sorts of trackless technology. It's got good animation to it. There's actually still props to it. It's a great ride, I think. So, and when it opens, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I would think it would be great for teenagers. You guys all like it pretty well. Well, finally, and there's also character meet and greets there. There's Minnie's house, Mickey's house, Donald's boat, where you can go to explore. But those things are geared more towards little kids, or if you want to meet a character, that's what I would say about those. Finally, so we don't stay on here too long, we'll go to Galaxy's Edge. What do you guys have to say about Galaxy's Edge?
Really cool, just vibe, I guess. You walk in and it's like, you just kind of forget you're in Disneyland because they themed it very, very well.
I think it's one of the more enjoyable lands for me because I like Star Wars. And if you like Star Wars, you'll love it because it's themed for Star Wars.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like all the designs, and there's like stormtroopers everywhere. There's like just people like walking through the streets. Like we saw Boba Fett just walking through the streets. It's like a really cool design, really cool vibe, like Trey said. And the rides are actually pretty good too, as well.
I remember when I first went to Galaxy's Edge for the first time, it almost felt like I wasn't in Disneyland anymore because it was a different feel, if that makes any sense, which at the time I wasn't sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing. As time's gone on, it does feel more like Disney now to me. But it is amazing the way they have story told and just the whole land. It makes you feel like you are in Star Wars. The marketplace is great. There's 2 attractions there. There is Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run. What do you guys think about Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run?
It's alright.
I don't like it. It's just another like arcade game or whatever. It's just, nah.
Trey?
It's not just like any other arcade game. It's like a simulator. It's like Star Tours, except you kind of have the controls. You got pilots, gunners, and engineers. The gunners and engineers are very boring. You press a button. Even if you don't press the button, you're still fine. But the pilot has the most interesting job because you get to steer it.
Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run is awesome because of the queue. I think you get to explore the Millennium Falcon. You actually get to go inside. You get to see what the ship looks like on the inside. If your teenagers are Star Wars fans, definitely go on the ride. If for nothing else, for the queue, for waiting in line. In my opinion, the ride itself is very underwhelming. I feel like it is just kind of like another video game type of ride on a simulator. But the queue is just amazing. The line. The last ride there is Rise of the Resistance. What do you guys think?
I love it.
My favorite.
It's awesome.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good, love it, my favorite. I think both of those rides, if they have any sort of affinity towards Star Wars, you have to go on them. Rise of the Resistance could be the best ride in the whole park. I think most people would think that it is. I love it too. It's a great ride. It does have a small little, completely straight down drop, just for a short period of time. So if they're scared about that, you might warn them or think twice about it. I don't like drops very much, and it does make you have a little, it gets your stomach just a hair, but not for very long. It's real quick, so I actually love it. It's a fun ride. I think teenagers, more importantly, would love it as well. We've gone through pretty much everything. Is there anything else you guys want to mention before we sign off?
No, I think we covered everything.
Covered everything. All right. So if you have any questions, we hope you'll leave some comments or questions in the comments below. And I hope you enjoy your trip to Disneyland. We just got back not too long ago. Had a great time. So, but again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.